Previously on the Simselorette, Abigail's uncertainty led her to spend one-on-one time with each of the final 3 suitors. She and Romeo shared a deep conversation by the ocean, where he expressed concerns about Connor's intentions. Rowan, always the supportive one, reassured Abigail with a couple's massage and urged her to seek clarity. But it was her heated confrontation with Connor that left her reeling, torn between their undeniable chemistry and the confusion surrounding his true feelings. Now, with the rose ceremony looming, Abigail must face her toughest decision yet. Who will she choose to move forward with, and who will be sent home? The morning of the rose ceremony, Romeo and Connor find themselves in the gym working out at the same time. You know, Connor, you might want to start thinking about your exit strategy. Abigail deserves someone who actually cares about her, Romeo said with contempt. Oh yeah? Connor responds. And she deserves a manipulative wannabe with a shaggy mop of hair too, huh? What are you trying to distract her with that mess, so she doesn't notice all the lies spilling out of your mouth? Later in the evening, Romeo and Connor are getting ready to head out to the veranda for the next rose ceremony. Wow, look at you. I guess you finally realized shaggy and scheming wasn't a good combo, huh? Nice haircut, Connor says, rolling his eyes. Grinning, Romeo responds, Figured I'd clean up a bit. Abigail deserves a man who looks as sharp as he is. With a chuckle, Connor responds, Yeah? Too bad no haircut can fix what's going on inside that head of yours. We will see if Abigail agrees with that, Romeo retorts as he exits the room. Abigail stands before the 3 remaining men, her heart pounding. The weight of the decision presses down on her, a mix of nerves, sadness, and fear swirling inside her. Her eyes flicker between Connor, Romeo, and Rowan, each of them waiting, each of them hoping. This was the hardest choice she's had to make, and even now she isn't sure if she's ready. She swallows hard, her breath shaky as she forces herself to meet their gazes. Someone's going home tonight, someone she cares about. And no matter what happens, there's no undoing this moment. Abigail takes a deep, steadying breath before lifting her eyes to meet Rowan's. Her hands tremble slightly as she steps forward, the weight of the moment pressing down on her. Rowan, always steady, always warm, watches her with quiet anticipation. She swallows hard, forcing a small, shaky smile. This feels right. Rowan, she says softly, holding out the first rose. From the very beginning, you've shown me kindness, patience, and a heart that I know is real. I've never had to question where I stand with you, and that means everything. He steps forward, taking the rose from her hands with gentle fingers. I'd be honored, he says simply, his voice steady, reassuring. Abigail lets out the breath she hadn't realized she was holding. 1 rose down, 1 more to give, and 1 heartbreaking goodbye to come. Romeo, glancing at Abigail, then turning to Connor with a smug smirk, voice low, says, Face it, man, she's going to pick me, not you. She needs someone she can trust, not some reckless fling she'll regret. He chuckles. Better start packing. Just then, Abigail approaches Romeo. Romeo, she says, her voice soft but steady. You've challenged me, frustrated me, and made me think in ways I never expected. But through it all, I know that your heart is in this, and I want to see where this could go. Romeo exhales, a victorious glint flashing in his eyes as he steps forward and takes the rose from her hands. You won't regret this, he murmurs, his voice laced with confidence. But as Abigail glances at Connor, at the way his jaw tenses through his tight smile, the way he forces himself to nod, her chest tightens. Because no matter how sure she tries to be, part of her wonders, did I just make a mistake? As Romeo steps back into place, victorious, the world seems to blur around Connor. The weight of reality crashes down on him. It's over. He swallows hard, forcing himself to keep his expression neutral, but the ache in his chest is impossible to ignore. He thought he had more time. Thought he'd find the right moment to prove to Abigail that what they had wasn't just chemistry. It was something real. But now, standing there, watching her with the man who spent the whole season trying to tear him down, all he can feel is regret. His hands clench at his sides as he exhales slowly, blinking away the sting in his eyes. I should have fought harder. Should have let her see the side of me I never show anyone else. But now, it doesn't matter. The choice has been made. Abigail finally turns to him, her expression a mixture of sadness and guilt, and for a second, Connor swears he sees doubt flicker in her eyes. With one last glance at her, he nods stiffly and steps back, bracing himself for the final goodbye he never thought would come. "I think I need a few moments alone with Connor," Abigail says to Romeo, her voice unsteady as a lump forms in her throat. Romeo smirks, adjusting his cuffs as he glances at Connor. "Take your time," he says smoothly, his voice laced with confidence. "I'll be right here when you're done." Abigail takes a shaky breath, her hands nervously twisting together as she looks up at Connor. "Connor?" She starts softly, her voice thick with emotion. "I'm so sorry." He doesn't say anything right away, just watches her, his usual easygoing demeanor nowhere to be found. She swallows hard, willing herself to continue. "I don't know if I made the right choice," she admits, her voice barely above a whisper. I never knew where I really stood with you. I know how I feel, but with you, I could never be sure. Was it real, or was it just..." She trails off, struggling to find the words. Connor exhales, running a hand through his hair, his expression unreadable. Abigail shakes her head, her heart aching. "I had to make a decision, and I was scared. Scared of making the wrong one. Scared of choosing someone who never really felt the same way." She looks up at him, her eyes searching his. "Was I wrong?" Connor lets out a sharp exhale, his jaw tightening as he stares at her. For a moment, he looks like he wants to say something real. But then he just shakes his head, a bitter smile tugging at the corner of his lips. "Does it even matter now?" he says, his voice edged with frustration. "How I felt, how I feel, none of it changes what just happened, Abigail. You made your choice." He crosses his arms, glancing away for a second, as if trying to keep his emotions in check. When he looks back at her, his eyes are burning with something she can't quite place. Hurt, anger, maybe both. "We can't go backward," he continues, his tone firm. "Only forward. And right now, I need to talk to you. Really talk. But not here. Not with cameras in our faces." His voice drops lower, his frustration evident. "So if you actually care about what I have to say, meet me somewhere private." Without waiting for a response, he turns on his heel and walks off, leaving Abigail standing there, her heart pounding in her chest. The air was thick with emotions as Abigail stepped out into the main house the next day. The cool breeze does little to ease the heaviness in her chest. She ran her hand over her face, trying to steady herself, but the guilt and regret she felt lingered. Her last conversation with Connor did not end well, and she is still reeling with the implications of their words to each other. "This is what you wanted," she told herself. "You made the right choice." She barely heard the footsteps behind her, but she felt the presence, steady, grounded. Rowan. The air was thick with emotions as Abigail stepped out into the main house the next day. The cool breeze does little to ease the heaviness in her chest. She ran her hand over her face, trying to steady herself, but the guilt and regret she felt lingered. Her last conversation with Connor did not end well, and she is still reeling with the implications of their words to each other. "This is what you wanted," she told herself. "You made the right choice." She barely heard the footsteps behind her, but she felt the presence, steady, grounded. Rowan. Gently, Rowan said, "Abigail?" That is all it took. Abigail fell into his arms, sobbing. "Abigail, you cared about him, that's okay. Sometimes making the right choice doesn't always mean it won't hurt." "I did care about him, you're right." Abigail responded, "I know. It's okay to feel it. Take the time you need to," Rowan said in soft voice. "Then I will be here for you every step of the way. I am so happy to be going on this next journey with you." No matter how heavy the weight on her chest felt, Rowan always had a way of lightening it. He never pushed, never demanded more than she was ready to give. Instead, he was simply there, steady, warm, and unwavering. With just a few words, a quiet look, or the simple brush of his hand over hers, he reminded her that she wasn't alone. And somehow, even in the mess of it all, that was enough to make her heart beat a little easier. Even if he was not fully aware of all that was said between her and Connor last night, he was still right. Next time on Simselorette. With the final rose ceremony just around the corner, Abigail is heading off on 2 incredible private getaways, each destination handpicked by the bachelors themselves. With no distractions and only pure, uninterrupted time together, these getaways could change everything. Will Abigail find clarity, or will the final decision be harder than ever? Find out on the next episode of Simselorette.